Assalamualaikum all of you. I hope that all of you are fine. I am Faranaz and welcome to my channel. अगर अभी तक आपने मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो do like and subscribe my channel. Today I am going to tell you about Matthew Arnold's study of poetry. So first of all, we are going to know about Mathew Arnold. He was one of the famous and foremost poets and critics of 19th century. He is often regarded as the father of modern literary criticism. He also wrote extensively on social, cultural, religion, and education. Walt Whitman famously dismissed him as a literary dude. Arnold is frequently acknowledged as being one of the most first poets to display a truly modern perspective in his work. Study of poetry. Study of poetry is a critical essay by Mathew Arnold in which he criticizes the art of poetry as well as criticism. In his essay, The Study of Poetry, he is fundamentally concerned with the poetry's high destiny, and he believes that mankind will discover that we have to turn to poetry to interpret life for us, to console us, and to sustain us. His essay thus concerns itself with articulating a high standard and strict judgment in order to avoid the fallacy of valuing certain poet and poems too. Poetry is the criticism of life governed by laws of poetic truth and poetic beauty. Mathew Arnold says that when one reads poetry, he tends to estimate whether it is of the best form or not. Arnold says that we do three types of estimates with poetry. That is real-time estimate, historic estimate, and personal estimate. Real-time estimate is the only one true kind of estimate which is not affected by any estimate. It is present in our minds and governs our estimates of what we read. Historic estimate is fallacious estimate that deals with poets' past when we are affected by poets' historical background. इसमें एक्चुअली ये होता है कि हम लोग बजाय इसके कि वी जज पोइट्स ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ देयर पोइट्री, वी जज द पोइट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ हिज हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड, और हम उसको वैसे ही इम्पोर्टेंस दे देते हैं बजाय इसके कि हमें ये देखना चाहिए कि क्या ये इम्पोर्टेंस के लायक भी है पोइट या नहीं. हम जस्ट उसकी हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड की बिना पर उसको इम्पोर्टेंस दे देते हैं. तो दिस इज़ हिस्टोरिक एस्टिमेट. And the second one is personal estimate. Personal estimate is also fallacious, which deals with our personal likings and circumstances. We give importance on the basis of our personal likings. Real-time estimate, the only true one, is liable to be superseded if we are watchful by two other kinds of estimate, the historic estimate and the personal estimate, both of which are fallacious. According to Arnold's point of view, historic estimate is that we can't rely on it, while on the other hand, personal estimate is we relate it with our personal experience. It's not possible for us to decode the message. Arnold interprets life in two ways that are poetry is interpretative by having a natural magic in it and natural profundity. Poetry is simply the most beautiful, impressive, and widely effective mode of seeing things. It has two demands of essential qualities, that is, the first one is choice of excellent action, and the second is grand style, in which we can say choice of words, perfection of forms, etc. are included. The key component of best poetry is its superiority. Now come towards the Touchstone Method. Touchstone Method was to find which poetry is the best. This method was his general principle, which introduced scientific objectivity to critical evaluation by providing comparison and analysis as two primary tools for judging individual poets. The purpose of this method was to select some lines from the well-known poetry, compare it with other poets, and define and evaluate it by different measurements, and then pass the judgment. As Arnold says, the best poetry will be found to have a power of forming, sustaining, and delighting us as nothing can else. Arnold's ideal poets were Homer, Milton, and he puts Wordsworth in the first rank, not for his poetry but for his criticism of life. Arnold praises Chaucer's excellent style and manner, but says that Chaucer cannot be called as a classic poet because, unlike Homer, Virgil, and Shakespeare, his poetry does not have the poetic seriousness, while Aristotle regards as a mark of its superiority over the other arts. He believes that the art of poetry is capable of high destinies. It is the art in which the idea itself is the fact. Chaucer's poetic importance is a result of the real estimate and not the historic. So that's all for the study of poetry by Mathew Arnold. I hope so that all of you will understand this topic, and if you have any query or any question, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you.